Thanks, Julie. Good morning, everybody. We are from iXeed. My name is Karthik. This is Anshu.
Hi.
We are here to talk about the Appzillon Digital Platform. Since we launched Appzillon in 2013, Finovate, 2013. We've been busy, as you can see. We've got 40 plus clients, including some of the largest banks in the world. We do business in over 20 countries. If you were to look at the evolution of mobile banking or digital apps in the banking world, banks started by offering the most basic features, check your balances, maybe a statement, do bill pay. Obviously, all these apps perform well. They worked in different countries, different languages. They were secure, at least most of the times. And then banks started evolving in terms of what they offered, and mobile apps became a differentiator in terms of a product as a product. So the UX and UI got richer. Banks started offering services, started rolling out services faster, at obviously a lower cost, and they started adding the bells and whistles in terms of things like PFM, analytics on top of their existing mobile app. And then, if you really want to go into the next generation of one, and this is where you'll have to take it up a notch in terms of how you do, digital banking in general is basically you need to automate this rollout of new features and new services, get beyond, the check deposits and the bill pays. It's got to be truly cross-channel. Doesn't matter whether the customer is looking at an ATM or a mobile phone or a tablet. And this is where Appzillon comes in. And over the next 10 minutes, we'll show how we've done this with one of our clients, and also dive into our platform to show the secret sauce behind the technology. So the Appzillon, just a bird's eye view of the actual platform. It's got a very sophisticated IDE, comes with a cool UI UX designer and adapters for the different core banking systems. Pretty much any core banking system out there, we've integrated with that. And it also has a very powerful application, analytics, and administration module. Needless to say, it's very secure. And what we use this platform, if you can go to the next slide, we've used Appzillon to deliver a truly single platform with a unified front end for one of the largest microfinance institutions in Asia called Equitas. They recently got a license for a bank, and they wanted to take a fundamentally different view to how they approach, the branch or the mobile or the internet. What we would call the self-service channels and the assisted channels. So what they did was, they wanted their branches to look like whatever, a Starbucks shop or an Apple store, if you will. So it's literally folks walking around with iPads. So there is no separate CRM system. There's no separate teller system. There's no teller lines. It's literally one application which does the functions of a CRM. It does account origination, mortgage origination, whatever else that you would want to open with the bank. It's also your teller system. You do cash and check transactions, and all this across an iPad or iPhone. And what this gave them is the need to avoid having multiple systems with multiple logins, different tech stacks, different architectures. And they saved everything on costs of rollout, costs of staff training. People could move between departments. So now is a good time to actually show the actual app that we built. So this is, if you can switch to the iPad, please. So this is the actual app that the bank uses. And again, there are different kinds of users. There are tellers in the branches. There are folks in the field. This being a microfinance institution, there are folks who go out to the field to where their customers are, open accounts and stuff. So this is the view of a teller. Sorry, if you can go back for a second. This is the view of a bank, let's say branch service rep, and he looks at his portfolio, his funnel, how many clients, how many deposits, how many loans he's taking after. And let's say I have a client who's walking in and I want to do some inquiries. It pulls out a heat map, which is kind of based on the risk revenue profile of the client. Obviously, certain clients are great clients, very low risk, high revenue, and at the other end of the spectrum, you have like high risk, low revenue clients. So let's pick, John Doe, for example, and he's out shopping for a loan. This is his a single customer view, his profile, and I would want to, let's say, pitch a product, a loan product. So we have all his products that he's eligible for. and let's say he wants to take a home loan or a personal loan. Okay, let's say he wants a car loan. Whatever.
Let me just... Sorry, okay. My hands are a bit...
This is like a screen where he could do some negotiation or what-if analysis, where what happens if my rate comes down from 8% to 6%, for example. You can see the amounts change, and let's say the client agrees on this rate, this amount, and this length of the loan. You can actually go ahead and apply. And here I capture all the details, I can scan all the documents, and wow, the loan's created. I will not do the whole process. It takes a few minutes. In the interest of time, let me just jump back. Now, let's say there is someone walking into, so now let's say I'm doing what we call a doorstep banking. So I'm out in a client's home trying to open an account. And this being an Indian bank, just to give you some context, Aadhaar is kind of like the social security number in India. The government launched a few years back. They've got like 850 million. They have a live web service where you could authenticate not just the name and address of the client, but including his biometrics and stuff. So we've done an integration with the Aadhaar card. Since we all live here, I'll just have an image of one of our friends back home. You've done it? Okay. So if you can see, it's already defaulted his name and address and other details. So I go ahead and pick, let's say I want to open a savings account. It also has geolocation capabilities because folks are out in the field. It tracks where this particular account is opened. It tries to validate against the address and also uses that data for like analytics down the road. I can just go ahead and make the opening deposit, and the account's created. And the account's ready to roll. You can actually start doing transactions, and the acknowledgement is where they have a small integrated device on top of their iPad where they actually print the account agreement, give it to the client, and it's all done. And all this in a matter of minutes. The last thing we wanted to show was if it's a classic teller transaction. Pretty much every bank here, I'm sure, has a separate teller system, which is primarily just used for like cash and check withdrawals. That's again integrated. So let's say I pick a client, I want to do a new teller transaction, I pick an account, and it's a simple cash withdrawal. I just go ahead and put in, and there is a facility to have one-time passwords. You text a password, and only when the client confirms for like added security, all that's configurable. So that's a quick view of this app, which is truly integrated across the different functions of the bank. And as you can see, we didn't have to log out, log in, use different devices. Now that we've seen it, we'll actually take you into the platform. And here's where there's so much talk of APIs, which is all great. But the thing with APIs is you will have to have a consumer at the end of that API, a screen, if you will. So that's where we come in. So we'll see how we build these screens in literally a matter of minutes. Anshu?
Thanks, Karthik. So we'll start with an existing project we have, which we will use to show the innovative capabilities of the Appzillon platform. One of the cool features within the platform, and my personal favorite, is a simulator, which helps in previewing and validating the apps without actually deploying the app onto the device. On top of that, one can configure n number of simulator devices across different form factors to simulate those apps. Now let's use the simulator to launch the demo app. We provide our login credentials. And the home page provides a snapshot of the account relationship. So we go to the payments tab, and we see that basically we encounter an error saying that the screen is not available. So what went wrong? Well, nothing really. This is by design. We intentionally left it that way. The conventional approach has been to build the screen and then build the connectors to the backend applications, which is a pretty tedious process. And then we go about doing the data mapping between the screen and the database. So what we have done is the exact opposite of that. We move from the back to the front, wherein we make use of the existing RESTful APIs or services within the enterprise world and use that to auto-generate and auto-build a screen. For the purpose of this particular demo, we have a sample JSON message which we are going to use. The additional advantage of going with this approach is that it binds the service to the screen. and it ensures that the screen definition is always in line with the service definition. So let's use an existing JSON file, and we provide the option to create a layout at the time of importing the JSON file. We have different options to create labels in multiple languages, thereby ensuring that the same version of the app is available in multiple languages without writing any single line of code, and ensuring that the same app could be available in different languages for different users based on their preferences. There are a host of other internationalization features available within the IDE. One can also specify different layouts for different form factors, or we can say that we can have a single layout for all the different form factors across different device groups, thereby ensuring a responsive design. We can also associate templates to apply the color schemes and the style sheets to the default screen, which is going to be generated by the IDE. Once we are done with that, we'll notice that basically a data model as well as a screen has been automatically created. The data model inherits the characteristics of the underlying service components, including the node details and the hierarchy, like the parent-child relationships. At the screen, we can go around and play with the layout, the structure. We can import widgets, we can add additional widgets, we can add custom developed widgets. We can change the layout structure from a tabular layout to a charts layout, and we can also preview. When we have done our changes, we can preview the same without logging out or without exiting the screen editor and look at the changes we have done. After we have done that, let's run the simulator once again to access the app and see if we are able to access the screen now or not. Great. So we've been able to access the screen now, and let's try to complete the transaction. So as you have seen, we have taken an app wherein the screen was missing in the first place, and we have integrated the app with a backend service, and we have finally finished the transaction in a matter of few minutes. Then what we can do is we can go and build the app for deployment across different operating systems, including web. In the interest of time, we will just go with a web-based build right now. In a similar manner, we can generate the build for iOS as well as Android, in which case basically we'll get an IPA and an ADK file, APK file, which can then be deployed onto the respective iOS and Android devices. We also have the option of basically generating the app in multiple languages. Like you see, the WAR file is now generated and it can be deployed onto the web server.
It's done.
Once we are done with that, the next important thing to look at is basically the upgrades. As in the enterprise world, both the backend applications as well as the underlying service components keep on changing from time to time. So the upgrades are a pain point in terms of keeping the apps up to date with the changes which are happening in the backend. With Appzillon, this is pretty simple. All we got to do is pick up the interface, look at the screen which has the updated service, and just select the option for updating the layout as well. It will inherit all the changes done to the underlying service, including addition of new nodes and data elements, and maintaining the hierarchy as well. And those new additional data elements and data fields would now be available as part of the new screen.
So as you saw, over the last few minutes, we literally didn't write a line of code. Everything was automated. So this is where we see the future of mobile app rollouts in banking to be, where a lot of the development process, the screen build process, and even the beautification of the UI UX is all going to be automated. You really focus on the product or the service that's being offered. We'll be more than happy to do a deeper dive into our products and show some of the other apps we've done with some of the other large banks globally. In our booth, feel free to stop by anytime. Thanks again. Thanks,
Thanks everyone
for the time.